Okay, hello. This is Mark Arnold from the Fun Ideas Podcast, and today I have two guests. I have Amber Jones, who is currently in England,
Hello.
and I have Kamden Spies, and I actually didn't ask where you are. Where are you?
I'm in Birmingham, Alabama.
All right, I knew you were on the East Coast. That's the best I knew. So, all right, welcome to the show, and we are going to talk Bullwinkle.
Oh wow, I didn't know that talked.
I think Scott did the voice for this, but the box is, I put it back there. There it is.
I'll have to ask him.
I just got this in a few months ago, actually, and I go, wow, it still works because I think it's from the 80s or 90s or something. So anyway.
This was my Bullwinkle Christmas present that I got.
Ooh, I don't even have that. So Kamden, I do have a copy of it that
I have that, and I have June's copy of Tim Hollis, but
yes.
So I go to Tim's house, and he's got records everywhere. I've gone to Tim's house so much, right? that Tim has a museum in his house, like it's
right.
like tour museum, and so much that I am his most frequent guest there.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a resident of Birmingham, so I go there regularly.
Okay.
But the first time I saw that in person was at Tim's house. But I have June's copy of the music cue only track.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
To this record, which apparently, which I know Tim. I asked Tim. I said, do you know anything about it? He says, yeah, I know it. It was an easy find. I'm like, thanks.
I will say in general, Rocky and Bullwinkle stuff is easier to find now than when I became a big fan. But I guess let's start with Amber because I think you're working on a project. But so tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in J. Ward things and doing this project and what the project
sure,
is.
I'd love to. Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Amber Jones. I'm 16 years of age. I come from the north of England, and I'm into lots of retro cartoons, both UK, USA, any cartoons is really just my fantasy. So this project I'm working on is a documentary on the voice actor Bill Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does, it's documenting his life from birth to death. It was originally going to be a documentary on his voices and showcasing all the voices he's done for cartoons, but I then changed it so it would include like everything he's done in his life because I felt as if that would be more informative.
Yes, I agree. So, I mean, obviously you've probably watched Rocky and Bullwinkle and all the other cartoons he was involved with, even Gummy Bears and things like that later on. How did you come upon this project to work on?
Well, it all started with June Foray. I mean, I idolized June. Unfortunately, she passed away, obviously, before I could, attempt to reach out to her. But I enjoyed... Kamden, I wish I was more like you. Okay, so I then obviously watched June in Adventures of the Gummy Bears, and then I discovered Bill Scott. So I looked up Rocky and Bullwinkle, and I watched it, and I was like, this is actually quite cool. So I got into Rocky and Bullwinkle. I started collecting memorabilia. I've got plushes, key rings, DVDs. Most of them are shipped from abroad because there isn't much Rocky and Bullwinkle merchandise in the UK apart from 2 DVDs and a plush. That's it. I'm afraid. So,
I was going to ask you that, but go ahead.
Yeah, shipping costs come around to more than £20. So I really just slashed my cash on that. Anyways, so I got into Bill and I researched his life and I looked at all the other shows he did, which obviously led me into watching J. Ward's cartoons and many other stuff that he did. So I looked up, like, was there anything I could buy to do with Bill, like a book or watch something on YouTube? And then I found out there was nothing. There was no book, no biography, no nothing. There was literally nothing. I mean, you like June got a book, she got a documentary. People like Paul Frees, Hans Conried, they all got a documentary or a biography in some way, but Bill got nothing. And I feel as if he's really gone under the radar.
I think that Amber should write a book on Bill because Bill is the only person not to have a book about him, and all of those books are published by Bear Manor Media. He's the only cast member that Bear Manor Media has not published a book about.
Wow. I mean, I didn't know all the other ones did, but and I kind of keep track of everything that they publish, but because I am published by them myself. But anyway, yeah, I didn't realize that. It's like, okay. I think it does. Well, I was going to say, does it have anything to do with he passed away a long time ago? But then Paul Frees did too, and so did Don Connors.
No, I mean, like they published one or something. I might be wrong. Maybe Charlie Ruggles doesn't have one. I don't know.
I think there is one, but I think it might be a different publisher.
June does.
Yeah.
Obviously, June does.
Yeah.
Because it's her book.
Yes.
But Bill Scott's the only one, as far as I know.
Well, since you're talking Kamden, I'll just kind of switch to you. We'll be switching back and forth. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this project and how you know Amber.
Well, so I've been obsessed with cartoons for a while. I remember when I was in kindergarten, probably when I was kindergarten, and like you'd find tapes and stuff like that. And then you grow out of just by each year, probably until my peak was in probably 5th grade, I would get more and more interested in different things. And 5th grade was the peak where I would skip class and I had this obsession with printing. Mm-hmm. I would literally, I would find random collectors. I remember Dave Nimitz with one, and I literally wasted away the school's printing, the school's ink. Mm-hmm. I think I printed 300 pages one day, and I never told anybody. They don't need to know. They didn't need to know. But I just skipped class and did that instead, which probably shouldn't have done that. But and then probably about the first time I met somebody was about, and I've been all historical. By 5th grade was the peak, but then I grew more and more interested in that, and then soon classic TV, classic movie, classic radio, stuff like that. Obviously, comic strips have always been interested too. Mm-hmm. And then one story is when I was 13, my family, we went to a trip to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And you know the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity in Los Angeles?
I haven't been to it, but I know about it, yeah.
Yeah, so I went there, and it was the only day that they were closed of the year. So I'm banging on the door. I'm like, oh my God, can't. So the lady, Miss Carol, let me in. And little did I know, I met Linda Jones that day and his grandson, Craig, and I became friends with them too. Mm-hmm. That was the only day of the year they're there, which is great. Because I'm probably going off tangent a bit. That's just the way I talk. But I'm really lucky about meeting people randomly.
Yeah.
Because the first time I went to San Francisco, I met Leonard Maltin at the Walt Disney Museum. He was just standing there looking at the thing. He was just standing there looking at the thing. No one seems to pay attention that Leonard Maltin is standing there.
Right.
No one knows no one apparently knew who this was in this museum. Right? So I walk up to him and I'm like, well, I didn't want to bother him, so I walked away. And then Leonard comes back to me and we walked through I literally was walking through the entire 9 Old Men exhibit there. That was that was there with Leonard Maltin giving me an audio commentary through the whole thing.
Oh wow.
I'm cool.
That's cool.
I'm thinking to myself, and I'm also looking around, and clearly no one seems to notice that this is going on, that Leonard Maltin is standing here.
That's funny. So again, how did you meet Amber? That's what I really trying to ascertain.
Well, I met Amber about the same way you did, Facebook.
Okay.
Because I had this June Foray Facebook page. I posted some photo and Amber she said what she's doing. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, nice. So I've been going back and forth with her ever since about Bill Scott, helping her get people to talk to, helping her find resources, looking at her script, everything. Like I had to, like, remember I asked you about Paul Echeverry's interview so we can get info on Bill's career. Time for Beanie. It's Time for Beanie.
Right.
Like Beanie and Cecil, like, and so because Amber, she asked for help on the stuff, not Jay Ward, like, and I'm like, well, and I said, well, I don't know anything about after Jay Ward, okay, and I don't know anything, but I know a lot about Warner Brothers, Beanie and Cecil. I don't know much. I didn't know much about John Sullivan either, but I knew people who she could reach out to. Carl Cohen being one.
Yeah. Well, I did. I just to interrupt. I did an article once. After we're done, I probably have to give you guys a bunch of sources and stuff because now that I know a little bit better on what you're working on, I did an article for Hogan's Alley magazine about John Sutherland Productions way back when, in the probably early '90s. No, it was not that early. Probably in the early '00s, early 2000s, whatever.
So yeah, before I had the subscription.
And let's see what else. We just lost, I don't know if you know David M. Mruz. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I never did.
No.
He used to publish a fanzine called Mind Rot, and then later was called Animania. He actually did an interview with Bill Scott, or at least somebody did, that was in one of those issues. So
right.
Well, about a year or two before he died, and it's pretty thorough. So
I had this brilliant idea for Amber, which was, when you buy a Disney Blu-ray and those documentaries on the side that have like some Walt sound alike. I had this awesome idea. It's like really far-fetched and insane, but you get someone like Keith Scott and beg them to do a Bill Scott impression, reading lines that are not audio of Bill Scott, just like they did with Walt's.
So,
unfortunately.
So Amber, how far are you along with the project? What are you needing, or what are you looking at, or what do you have? I guess.
Well, as of late December 2020, I'm really just finishing up and adding extra touches to the script because the main basis is done. I just need to add more information on Bill's time at Warner Brothers, UPA, Bob Clampett, because that's really, I think it's more of his early life that I'm having trouble researching on. I mean, it's hard to just like keep note of every single source I have and every single web page and everything like that. Like sometimes I can't be organized because, well, it's been hard to work on this documentary because I have Asperger's syndrome and I get distracted really easily, so I can't focus on a lot of things like really quickly, and when I do, I can't stop. It's either you got a yin and a yang. It's either I'm gonna do it and then I completely get stuck into it, or like, no, I'm not gonna do it, and I leave it for a few days. So we're slowly getting there.
So there's no real time frame per se at the moment of getting it done. It's just you work on it and stop, and then work on it and stop, like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it out probably by next spring, the latest.
Okay. So like I said offline, when we're done with this, I can ask you what you have and what you haven't. I don't have any audio interviews with Bill Scott. Yeah, I do have a couple of print ones.
I know, Amber, you told me once, isn't that one of the problems you're having? So you do have some material, but it's hard because didn't you tell me, Amber, that you wanted, like, you were trying to find a way that you wouldn't be narrating the whole thing during those periods? Was that right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Because you told me one time that you said you have a lot of, like, we were talking about the Warner's career. She says you have a lot of interviews, but not enough to where it wouldn't just be narration. And then
oh yeah, for the Warner Brothers stuff, yes, and the early life stuff, yeah.
You said the major issue though is the Sutherland stuff. That's the hardest stuff you said, because there's like nothing there.
No, I'm trying to include as much as I can.
I'm gonna have to get you a copy of that. So yeah, like I said, I'll make a checklist, or we can email after. Like I said, it's kind of ironic and funny, the only person I interviewed for the Sutherland thing was John Sutherland's son, because Sutherland had passed away like a year before, typical as a historian, a year before I got the assignment to do it. So it's like, great. Now I can't actually interview the actual guy, but his son had a wealth of information. Unfortunately, I've lost complete track of him because it was about 15 years ago. but the article exists. And the only person I actually interviewed who worked with Bill Scott is Bill Melendez, who did all the Peanuts specials. So
yeah,
go ahead.
we've actually got one of the last people. I actually got a hold of Skip Craig, who
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Skip Craig, who I did an article for Cartoon Research, but I also did it for Amber. So every mention about Bill Scott is actually not in that interview on it for Amber's documentary, because it was about half the time with Bill Scott, the other half was just. And we tried other people, like you helped us free Joe Siracusa. Joe, I don't think he. All right, how do I say this? I think he's just getting a little older.
Yeah, unfortunate.
By the way.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I didn't mean. Yeah. Is that okay to say, or is this? You're gonna edit this, right? Because I don't know.
Well, I mean, don't say anything too critical. I mean, we know he's older. He's in his 90s.
Yeah.
I can say this, speak for him, is that, he cares for his son because his son has some sort of
also
handicap,
he was
for lack of
busy
better term.
at the time.
Oh,
He was extremely busy at the time. Okay. And I just don't think he remembered much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like if you talk to Joe nowadays, I mean, he'll talk to you about like his years with Spike Jones. He might talk a little bit about UPA, but I noticed there is a difference because I did an interview with him for my Patty Freeling book because he worked there for a number of years, and he gave me some great stories. And then a few years later, I did a book about the Alvin and the Chipmunks, and he worked for Format Films there too. But he wasn't really excited about talking to me again. And I kind of chalked it up that he pretty much told me everything he was going to say, and he doesn't really remember anything else. And, so I have to just, as a historian, and you'll learn this, both of you, it's like, sometimes you just have to take what you got, and work with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm sure Amber definitely has learned this too with when I've interviewed people, because you just have to go with it. And then sometimes I was just like, because when I interview people for the June Foray thing, I'm like, all right. I had a lot of different experiences with it. Most of the people were really nice, but I had a couple different experiences that made me learn a lot.
Let me look in my box here. See, I brought, here's my J Ward box. And I just have like lots of paper stuff in here. I mean, I could show you this random stuff that I just saw. Quisp and Quake comic book, So, anyway.
Yeah.
But
they still sell Quisp cereal.
And I got a Bullwinkle plate there. But there's something here I was going to talk to you about.
With the Cheerios Kid?
Yes. If I have it in here, I think I do. Keep talking amongst yourself. No, just kidding.
Right.
Well, okay, I'll just tell it, and then if I find it, I find it. Oh, here it is. No, that's a calendar. I may not have it in here. Okay. I'll tell you a little my background with Rocky and Bullwinkle. So, obviously, it's older than me. It originally aired in the
Can I pull this
the
up?
early 60s and late 50s.
Can I show this?
Say that again?
Can I show this before you start?
Sure.
This before you start?
Go ahead.
Here is the original script and TV edited script to Magoo's 1001 Arabian Nights, with which Bill Scott wrote.
Wow, cool. And let's see.
Here's Virad.
Let me just hold on. I'll go get some stuff as well.
Okay. Let's see. I can't find it, but I will tell you what it is when she gets back. Oh man, I got a whole bunch of stuff. Oh boy. I forgot about this stuff. I haven't looked at my J Ward stuff in years. Because
you can tell my room, everything's just if you tell my room, I've been collecting for a while, but most of mine is not stored, it's just on shelves or something.
Oh, okay. In my case, and I'll show this again when Amber comes back. Okay, so I could tell my long, boring story because it's so all the Rocky Bullwinkle shows aired in the early '60s, and started in '59, of course. I used to watch them on Saturday mornings and reruns in the early 70s, but I never thought much of them, because I don't know if I thought they were too below me. I tended to, too above me or whatever. Yeah, I just didn't get it. But I also didn't know that there was actually a continuity. They would always have, on our next episode, it will be this or this. And the next time I'd watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, it'd be a completely different story. And so I just thought they were like these just little self-contained things that had a cliffhanger. And then in the early 80s, a local TV station in San Francisco started, which is where I used to live, started playing them in order. And they made a big announcement. We're bringing back Rocky and Bullwinkle. We're going to play them in the original order. And I go, cool. And then I said, wow, these have like a real story. And of course, they started with the Moon Fuel one, which is the longest story. And I was really getting into it. And suddenly I just like everything Rocky and Bullwinkle. So it's probably like you. I was 12 or 13 when that happened. So I mean, I'm like roughly your ages now.
Yeah, I was probably about 12 or 13 when I really became interested in Bullwinkle. I was probably 6 or 7 when it was like Warner's, when I first interested in Warner, but probably a little bit older when Bullwinkle. Because the first time I saw Rocky and Bullwinkle, first thing I saw was the Moon Men back to back. And I'm thinking to myself, is this the whole series? Because you go through nearly the entire first season. I'm like, this is a long story.
It is, yeah. And I know now, since I've done my total television book, which I'll show off here now.
Right.
This one.
I have mine signed by you.
Hey, great, thank you.
I think I have every book.
I know now
by you, and saying I've signed.
Oh, thank you. I know now that General Mills didn't like that long story. They said, can't you make them only like a few episodes each? And that was one of the reasons why Total Television did their underdog things into 4 parts and King Leonardo in 2 parts, because they figured most people wouldn't have the attention span to go weeks and weeks and weeks with this thing. But go ahead.
The General Mills, though, I got a quick question for the General Mills, though, cutting them together, because I remember you said in an interview on, I think it was on Stu's show, that the worst, like you were talking about how they would cut and piece them together, like the Jay Ward and the Total Temple would be jammed together, and you said that there would even be examples with Rocky and Bullwinkle segments in the middle of Tennessee Tuxedo for some random reason.
Yeah.
Is that true?
And it's because it wasn't necessarily on the original run, although a few of those did happen. It was mainly because of General Mills was the overall company, and Dancer Fitzgerald, the ad agency was really the controlling interest of the whole thing, to get it on the air and everything like that. Obviously Jay Ward in Hollywood and Total Television in New York had quite a bit of freedom, but they still had to bow to the dictates of General Mills and the other to a certain extent, because that's just how TV in America was at that time.
Right.
It just was.
The
sponsors dictated everything.
Together, or was it Gamma Productions?
Well, Gamma did the animation, and that was done in Mexico City, except for the first year of Rocky and Bullwinkle. It was Valmar and stuff like that, which is related to Gamma, but. There's a long involved story. We'll give a plug to this. I'm sure you all have this book, so this is the book to get, if you don't have it. And this is the book that inspired this book.
The other good book is
Would you just excuse me one moment, please?
Yes.
I think the best book though for Jay Ward though is, if you want to buy about the writers and the history of the series, is obviously Keith's book, and then if you want to get the art, it's obviously Daryl's book.
Oh yeah, I have that one too right here. So let me show that one off.
Yeah, interesting story about Daryl's
that
book.
one. Yeah.
my friend Carol, who works at the Chuck Jones, bought me a copy of Daryl's book signed, and June and Daryl were signing it.
Yeah.
And so they actually, because my friend Carol bought it, they actually signed, both of them signed my book to Carol Cameron. I think that's a whole name.
No. Yeah, mine is signed here. I could flip through and show it all to you, but it's not that important. So were you there at that signing, or you've got somebody else?
No, I never met June. I got to talk on the phone before,
Okay.
And I
Okay.
remember I begged Carol to get Craig, who's Chuck's grandson, to let me talk to June. I probably was I was not on my hands and knees, but it pretty much was.
Oh.
But and finally they got to do it, and I was warned before. She's older, so probably 15 minutes is good enough. Well, I think it was like an hour and a half or something longer, and so where Craig was on the other line just silent, and I think he was. I imagine he was not thinking it would be that long.
Mm-hmm.
I think that everyone thought it'd be 15 minutes, but it was like an hour and a half.
Wow. Did you get any good information or anything like that?
No, I was just chatting with June. I wish we recorded it, but
okay.
But it was an hour or 35 minutes or to like an hour and a half or something. It was pretty long, but it was a lot longer than they wanted it to be, I think. But oh well.
Yeah.
But and what's interesting is, so she did Rocky and Natasha on the phone. She was probably 95 for her at the time. And this was like probably right in the middle of when she wasn't allowed to do Rocky and Bullwinkle on that short, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like remember, like they were originally not gonna have her do Rocky either. But if you know the history of that short, which I gotta say I'm not a fan, I think they should have gotten Keith Scott to do the voice of Bullwinkle too. And she did it for me, and then she doesn't do the short. Like it was like 2 months later that short was released. I'm like, why isn't she doing Natasha? And you read online, it's like she couldn't do it. I'm like, well, she did it for me, and I found out later she recorded the track for Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that made no sense.
So, let's see. I guess I could sit here and just show off, and forgive me if I seem like a show off, but I did meet June twice. When I did my Total Television book, I did go to San Diego Comic Convention, and there's a gallery in Los Angeles area called Van Eaton Galleries, which was where they had that June Foray thing years later. And that was at the time her book came out. Her book came out basically the same month mine did at Bear Manor Media. And so they sat us side by side. And so I was just sitting there just chit-chatting with her while we were both signing books. It was actually kind of cool. I didn't really get any real information out of her because, it's like, I figured it was in the book and, we were there to sign autographs, but,
Right.
she just kind of casually mentioned, a couple things she'd done and stuff like that. And I was mainly like me going, oh, I like you on the Stan Freberg records and things like that. So, but that was my first encounter. The second encounter was at that same place, Van Eaton it was at the real Van Eaton Galleries, and at when this when this was there, The Art of J. Ward, and another book because Jerry Beck was there, his Peabody and Sherman book. So anyway, and that time she was, I hate to say, pretty elderly, so she was in a wheelchair by that point, and she was, I hate to say, kind of out of it for lack of a better term, but it's like it's gonna happen to everybody.
I think that by the way, I think that, well, here's a funny story about Stan Freberg. Can I tell you the story?
Sure.
So we were in Hawaii for something on my dad's 50th birthday. We were in this restaurant. And when I was younger, when I was probably in middle school, I had this habit of telling people who clearly did not look like somebody that they looked like somebody. When you look back, they look nothing like this person, or maybe only slightly. Well, I told the waiter that they looked like Stan Freberg. Of course, no one else at the table, other than maybe my parents, I don't remember, knew who Stan Freberg was. The guy says, Fran Freberg, and he takes me up. My parents were like, where's Kamden? I'm at this bar, because apparently this guy was Frank Zappa's publicist, the waiter. I wish I knew this guy's name, but I never even asked his name. I have to be honest. I never asked for his name, never even went that far. I honestly can't remember what the name of the restaurant was, but I swear to God, this is true. The guy was Frank Zappa's publicist, and he used to work at CBS Records. And so he knew Stan Freberg. And then he says, then he knew Jack Benny. I mentioned him. And he knew him. I'm like, this random dude I met in Hawaii who's serving us drinks. And he was telling the truth. And this random old dude serving brings me up to the bar and starts talking to all celebrities. Mm-hmm. Parents have no idea where I am, and they find me at the bar, right? Talking to this gentleman. Which I'm like shocked, like, because that was just like I said, I have this habit of meeting random people at the right time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, cool.
I kind of lost you there. Was it Stan Freberg, or was it it was just the publicist?
No, it was just some dude who I said Stan Freberg, but he happened to be he happened to know Stan Freberg, and he was Frank Zappa's publicist.
Oh, okay, all right, very cool. I did meet Stan once. I know he didn't work for Jay Ward, but we'll kind of get through this quickly. It's like he was at another convention, again very elderly. And then here's the ironic thing, and this is how it ties back in. The same night that June Foray was at this Van Eaton Gallery, Stan Freberg was over at this radio convention that I was also attending across town. But I decided to kind of basically flip a coin, and I decided I'm going to do the Bullwinkle thing tonight, and stay with June. And I mentioned that to Jerry Beck, and he said, "You picked the right one." And I go, "Okay," but it's like, it just frustrated me. It's like both people that I like, they're across town, and I can't see both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I'll show you my first thing.
Okay.
This here is, it's June Foray Day in Hollywood.
Oh, that's cool.
And then here's the other one that says the city of Long Beach, California. It's Rocky and Bullwinkle Day.
Wow. Now, is this stuff from her personal collection, or what is it?
Yes, but this is stuff I won at Heritage Auctions.
Oh, okay.
All that stuff that they gave me.
Okay. Okay, but it's still from her personal collection.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got it. Okay. Wow. Must be nice.
Yeah.
But let's see. I'll just kind of shift gears a little bit and just go back to my story about how I got interested. So I got interested when I was like 12 or 13. I don't know if either of you are familiar. Jay Ward Studios in Hollywood, they had a building next door called the Dudley Do Right Emporium that was open in 1971. Yeah. Okay, so, and it was still open in the early 80s, and I think they closed in the 90s. I went there right after they closed, but I went there quite a few times when they were still open. The first time I went, Jay Ward was still alive. They were still making cartoons, just Captain Crunch cereal commercials by that point. Mm-hmm. But he was a very, very shy man. And so he never came up to the front counter. His wife would. And so anything I ever bought from them, which I'll show you some things I bought there, that's what's kind of leading me to. They used to sell reproductions of scripts. And so like I have a George of the Jungle show script, and, it's just things like that. I just buy a bunch of this stuff. And, I don't know how much it's worth now. It's in my collection. There's a Crusader Rabbit one.
Oh, really? They sold the Crusader. I didn't. Yeah, I was always confused. Like I didn't know that they sold Crusader Rabbit stuff there.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Anything and everything that they had.
Really? Because I wouldn't have known that Jay would have owned parts of the Crusader Rabbit.
Well, in his store, I mean, he could literally sell everything. He actually sold things with W.C. Fields and the old movie stars because he liked them. It's like he had. So anyway, that's some of that stuff. But yeah, I'd go in that store all the time. Then Jay Ward and his wife passed away, and so you'd see Tiffany Ward, who still owns everything now.
Right.
And I don't know where I'm going with it. It's just I used to go there a lot, and then when they're finally closed, they're demolishing the building and everything. The building's still there, but they had to refurbish it because it had termites and everything that.
They finally put the Bullwinkle statue back.
They took it away. Yeah, they took the Rocky and Bullwinkle statue away for a few years to refurbish that. The first time I saw it in like 1980, everything was like chipped paint and faded. I mean, it was like Bullwinkle looked pink. It was like faded by the sun, and there's chips of paint off everything. It really looked cruddy. And then years later, they refurbished it and made it all look nicey. But I hate to say, Jay Ward kind of just let it slowly decompose during the 70s and 80s post George of the Jungle. Anyway,
my favorite though is, and Skip Craig told me, he says, yeah, Jay would just make crazy purchases like that all the time. Mm-hmm. And he said that just because he wanted to. Mm-hmm. Right? And he said, one, like, my favorite though is the Eat Your Heart Out Burt Reynolds with Bullwinkle I'm trying to find some original documents from the statue. Because I have like the original Dunes ticket that says come see the statue.
Yeah.
And like the press releases and all that stuff. Those her family gave me. Here is you were invited to the premiere of the Bullwinkle show at J. Ward Productions. Okay, the President of the United States of America. Here it is, right here. Mm-hmm. First, here it is. Here's some invitation.
Oh wow!
Can I read it? Sure. The President of the United States of America. It's crossed out. Mm-hmm. And J. Ward Productions. It takes pleasure in inviting you to the world premiere performance of the Bullwinkle show on NBC Sunday evening, September 24th, which was actually my birthday, 1961. The producers have made the arrangements with the National Broadcasting Company that this gala premiere is piped into your home for your convenience. Refreshments immediately following the show at your friendly neighborhood tavern.
Wow. And this was for Kennedy? Is that which for president? Okay.
Yeah. And there's another one that says, here's another invitation that says, you were formally invited to attend the world premiere viewing of the Bullwinkle show on August 22nd, 9 p.m. at the Writers Guild of America. We are confident that a person of your
What was it?
Your perspicity, I guess.
Okay.
Culture and taste will be delighted by the subtle satirical nature of this charming and winning show. Free booze.
Free booze.
Your choice tickets are enclosed. Dress will be semi-foil. Sneakers and top hat optional.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. So, let's see. So, what can I ask you? It's like, I mean, we could just continue show and tell. It's like I keep wanting to show things here now more than talk about things. So it's like,
I can't undo what. Where'd Amber go?
She's gone for a second. Yeah, I said everybody could take a break if they need to for whatever reason. So let's ask Amber a question since she just came back. So,
here's the Kerwood Derby notice.
I actually have that.
Yeah,
a lot of that stuff's from the J. Ward. See, like I'll show you. There is their address with my old address on it. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, so when this documentary, Amber, when this documentary is done, how long do you expect it to be? Is it, and where do you think it'll be shown? Do you have any of that planned at this point, or is it just working on it?
I'm probably going to make the documentary about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe. I don't know if I'll make it even longer because I don't think I'd be able to provide enough footage for it. But I'm thinking I'm definitely going to put it on YouTube. If not that, I might put it on Vimeo if it gets copyrighted. I don't have any broadcasting rights, or I'm not selling it to anyone. I'm just solely just doing this because I'm a fan of Bill Scott. I'm not doing it for the money. I just do it because I adore him, not just as a voice actor, but as a writer and a producer.
Mm-hmm. And in doing this, I mean, you don't have to give away the store, as it were. But is there any? Wait, hold on, Gavin. Is there anything that you've discovered about Bill Scott's life that isn't widely known? And you don't have to say what that is, but I mean that is like really critical for this documentary.
Well, there's not really any critical stuff. I'm not saying anything. There's nothing bad about him in this documentary. But I have found out a lot of research, and mainly the research that I'm surprised with is from his family. I've spoken to his son and his daughter, and they've provided me with a lot of information. And his son sent me a whole Google Photos folder full of old footage from the 50s, 60s, and I think the earliest one is definitely from 48 because there's a camcorder video, and it's of his son as a baby and Bill holding him, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This has been so well preserved. And then the rest of it then is just like Bill spending time with his family or doing anything. There's nothing to do with Jay Ward. It's mainly just more family stuff. And I believe, yeah, he was really nice to everyone he met, and I don't think I've spoken to someone and they have said anything bad about him. So I've heard just good stuff about him.
That's very cool. I mean, for me, if not knowing you or knowing you or whatever, if I just came across a documentary about Bill Scott, first of all, I'd watch it. But second of all, that's the stuff that I would want to know, is like his family life, his formative years, was training, or how he got interested in writing comedy or being in animation, more than say the Jay Ward stuff. Obviously you have to cover that, but it's like I don't know much about the man prior to Jay Ward, other than he worked for UPA, he worked for John Sutherland, but that's it. I mean, there's a good UPA book too, but it doesn't really focus on him. It's mainly about the studio. So you're only going to find maybe a page and a half of material out of that about the person.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think the coolest thing I've seen that Amber showed me, that she's found all these great interviews of Bill. Like all these great. So I think she has. Amber, you have at least probably, I'm guessing, 6 hours of interview footage you have to go through.
Yeah, there's one from Robert Stone. There's one from Paul Mayer's old website. There's a lot more, and there's one with Charlie Meyerson, which is buried deep in the internet, which I've managed to get a hold of. That's from '83. And I think the hardest material to get a hold of, which I haven't been able to get a hold of, it's lost media. It's the episode of Here's Hollywood that had Jay Ward and Bill Scott on it. That was recorded in 1962. And no one has footage of it, not even Jay Ward's family or Bill's family.
Probably lost, I'm guessing. Would you think?
It could be lost, but you never know. Stranger things pop up in the darndest places. So I would say keep looking. But even if you have to finish the documentary and then it comes up, you can always, either amend it or add it as a bonus feature if you get it on DVD or some other media. But anything.
There will be a director's cut, I promise.
So you've gotten some audio interviews with Bill? Have you been able to do that? Oh, that's very good. Okay, because I only know print ones.
There's more audio than video interviews, because the only really video ones that I've found are the 2 ones on YouTube. I haven't been able to find any others on any other websites or from anyone else.
I know you really never. I think the coolest one that Amber has. There's another cool one with Bob Clasher that Bob Clasher did, which you can find that on his website. But it's got Bill and Jim during when Rocky and Bullwinkle were being produced.
I think there's an interview. Go ahead. Sorry, say that again. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that was on KCRW 83 or 4, I believe. Oh no, was it 85? I can't remember. It was definitely mid-80s.
Okay. Now, one thing I have, and I could probably get you a copy of it because I need to digitize it anyway because it's still on the tape, is, and I offered this to Ben Omart, who's written the Paul Frees book with Fred Frees, and he just didn't want it for some strange reason. But Paul Frees did an interview with KGO Radio in San Francisco about a year or two before he passed away. And he doesn't really say too much about Bill, but, he's still one of the principals of the whole enterprise, as it were. So I could digitize and get you that copy. You may have said a couple quotes. I haven't listened to it in years, but it's very rare because the radio station would probably never play anything like that anymore, and it's probably copyrighted still, but I've never heard it anywhere else, so I have it on a tape somewhere. So Let's see. Is there any like Amber? Is there any like major holes in the story that you're like, I wish I could fill in? Like, I don't know, like his childhood. Let's say, I don't know, anything like that.
It's mainly really his childhood and early career, like Warner's EPA, John Stuff, and I think J Ward onwards, and his 80s career. Oh, actually, the Captain Crunch stuff. There's a massive hole in that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I need to timetable out different days. Oh yeah, today I'm gonna work on Captain Crunch. Tomorrow I'm gonna work on the UPA stuff. Make myself organized.
All right. Well,
So yeah, hopefully that
yeah.
works.
I'll see if I can find anything like that. It's like that I can help you with. I don't,
Thank you.
but I don't know if I have anything. But I do. Like I said, so I became a fan in the early '80s, and then he passed away in '85, and it's like, I was like, and then Paul Frees passed away in '86. Is like they weren't terribly old. These people, I'm almost approaching the ages
Yeah.
they were. It's like, was
Then
it
Bill Butler went, then
Yeah,
J Ward went.
passed away right about that time too, didn't he?
which one?
Yeah, I think Jay went in '89.
Yeah, that's right. And fortunately, June was with us for a long time, but it's like she only had one side of the story, so it was kind of unfortunate. I probably would have started interviewing these people myself, at the time. I was wondering if, let's see, what was I going to say? You can disclose this because I just don't remember. What did Bill Scott pass away from? I mean, was it just all of a sudden like
Heart attack.
Heart attack? Okay.
Yeah.
And
basically it was weekend of Thanksgiving. Bob?
And did he have any prior history with his heart or anything that you've discovered or anything like that, or is it just all of a sudden?
Not really, but I've been told by a few people he knew that he had cigars. I don't know how many, but he apparently had one every night. I think. Do correct me if I'm wrong.
Every other
so
night.
basically, it was Thanksgiving. He had a cigar, and he went to bed, and it was early. It was about 2-3 a.m. in the morning. Bill woke up, clutched his chest, screamed. Well, not really screamed, but yelled. Dorothy woke up. Bill fell on the floor and just died. Passed away there. And obviously, his wife Dorothy screamed. His son Rob came upstairs, did CPR, and obviously was pronounced dead when the ambulance arrived.
That's too bad.
No, I don't think he had any heart conditions or anything.
Because at the time, when they said it, even in animation publication, a lot of times they'd give like a paragraph to it. It's like, so I really never knew. I just knew, there's like a paragraph in the newspaper that says, and Bill Scott, who did the voice of Bullwinkle and Mr. Peabody, is dead. And that's about it. It's like nowadays there'd be everybody on Facebook saying, and everything like that. It's like that's the difference between then and now. You had to like pull information out of things and you never get it. It was really weird. So it's actually kind of interesting how you two as younger people have become fans, but it's easier to access information in a certain respect it's not, because the people aren't around to talk to. So so
we've tried, either we've talked to everyone who's still around, or we've gotten access to people, access to interviews and footage. Like one of the animators or designers, Amber, is Ray Favata an animator, or was he a designer, or what?
What?
Is it Ray Liotta? Is that what you said?
Could you repeat that? I don't know what you said.
Repeat it.
I don't know what
Ray
Kamden
Favata,
said.
An animator, a designer.
What do you mean? Have I interviewed one? Or...
No, Ray Favata. Because remember we got.
Oh, him! Yeah, I've got his interview where he.
Okay, what is the name again? Sorry. I'm not familiar with the name. Yeah, I was. Say his name again, please.
Ray Favata. Favata, I think. Yeah, is that how you say it?
Let me see.
I've forgotten too. It's something like that. Let me
see if he's in.
Ray Favata.
Let me see. Because this is a very handy book.
My copy.
I mean, I don't know if either of you know this.
It's too bad. It's really out of print and it's really expensive. So Amber does not have a copy.
Yeah, Ray Favata. I have the interview saved.
Yeah. You don't have a copy of this?
Oh,
Yeah, I think
I don't have that book.
He and Skip Craig are two of the last people around.
Let's see. It
Okay,
seems
where
like
is it?
there's
That's
one
a
more
passion
that's still around, but
I
I
swear I read
think,
a book
you
last
might be
night.
right. Uh,
Alan Burns.
Alan Burns too, yes.
I've tried to reach him, no luck.
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, Alan Burns.
Contact from anyway.
Let's see. I always hate that when you're trying to track somebody down and they just won't do it. My difficulty, but I got around it pretty easily on my Total Television book, was Larry Storch. Now I have found interviews since, so it's not been that big of a deal. But he, at the time, he had like some handler who was like saying, "Yeah, give me $100 and I'll talk to him." It's like, no, I'm not gonna just pay you randomly somebody I really don't know.
That happened to me a lot too.
Yeah.
That's happened to both of us because like when I tried to do my June thing or whatever, it's not always the agents either, it's their secretaries.
Yeah.
It's like the receptionists of the agents who have no idea who June Foray or Bill Scott is, right?
Right.
Like they never like I struggled to get like Tara Strong, who I interviewed on that project. I interviewed her, but
I have these.
I was a little nervous because her agent was on the line next to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
oh, Tara's lovely.
Yeah, and so the whole thing with me being extremely nervous because her and her agent were both on the line. So I'm like, I'm not prepared for this. What do I do? Right?
Yeah. Like I said, you sometimes have to just work with what you got. You both are talking about that you've gotten great cooperation from the Scott family and from Tiffany Ward. So other than the people that you've not gotten a hold of, I mean, you haven't gotten any pushback or anything like that, like saying that's our property, legal.
Not really.
Okay, that's very good. Okay.
Oh no, not at all. I've asked the Scott family though. I'll send you the documentary when it's finished. If you don't like anything that's in there, just let me know. I'll take it out. Tiffany Ward, I haven't worked with her on this. She was too busy. But I've spoken to many big people. I've spoken to Tara Strong, I've spoken to Corey Burton, and I've even spoken to Frank Welker as well.
Hey, very good.
Frank's definitely one of the giants, and I had a ball speaking to him. He was brilliant.
I haven't even spoken to Frank Welker. Anyway, right. So you got one on me, Amber. Yeah, I wanted to get him for the Betty Freeland. And go ahead.
I gotta interrupt real quick. Okay. I'm just a consultant on this documentary. This is entirely Amber's thing. So everyone was gonna. This is not my thing. This is entirely Amber's baby here. Mm-hmm. I just help her and consult on different things. And I've read her script and all that. This is entire Amber's deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, getting the contacts is actually a good thing. I mean, it's like when I'm always willing to help anybody. So it's like if you. If you make me jump through hoops for something, I'm not going to do it. But I mean, it's like if you say, do you have a contact here? Do you know this? Sure, I have no problem. So and then let that person say yay or nay at that point. But for the most part, I have nothing to hold back, and if anything, I want to help make it the best documentary you can make it. So, it's like there's no reason to keep it all to myself and say, no, I might do a Bill Scott book myself. I know there are some celebrities that are that way. It's like you can't get them because I can't give you my information about Bill Scott because I'm doing my own tell-all autobiography. I'm making that up, but
that's type
of deal. Yeah. It's just they just don't want to talk to you, and it comes with the territory, like I said. So but, I know what it's like being on your side, both of you. It's like being researcher or actually making either a book's equivalent of a documentary. It's just on a piece of paper. That you want to be able to talk to everybody, and you don't want the pushback. So it's like, and there's no real point. I mean, it is a service. I mean, I don't have time to make a Bill Scott documentary, but I really want to watch one. So it's like, thank you, Amber, for doing that. It's like,
You're welcome.
I hope it comes out really well.
What I help with is helping Amber find people, get contacts for people, or helping her get images. Like, helping her get images, helping her get contacts, helping her contact to reach out to see if it's okay to use certain things.
Yeah.
So like footage, so she can get permission to use everything she uses that would be reasonable that you need permission of. Like if it's a broadcast, what are you gonna? But if it's like it's certain documentary, like there's a documentary Dawes Butler voice message, and we contacted Arnold Cunha, who directed it. She and his wife. Amber's talking to his wife about it.
Yeah, she just sent me an agreement form that I need to sign just to thing that I will not edit the documentary in any way. It is entirely for use in my documentary.
I don't think anybody can edit the documentary.
No, she sent me an agreement form. It says you indicating your name and company are requesting the use of a clip from Voice Magician that does about the documentary. What?
Fancy. That's like a legal form. That's fancy.
Yeah. Yeah, Voice Magician that does about the documentary. Produced and directed by Arnold R. Cunha. It's containing material regarding Bill Scott. You agree not to edit the footage in any way. You agree to provide proper credit for the use of the clip to Arnold R. Cunha, producer, director of Voice Magician that does about the documentary on the Bill Scott documentary entitled Blank. Then provide space for both our signatures. Sign it and send it to me. I will sign it and return to you, keeping a copy for my records. Boy.
Just be very careful that they don't try to take your rights away on things. But that sounds pretty up and up. They just want to be covered. They just want their bases covered. I get it.
Yeah, when I asked Michael Schlesinger and Stan Taffel, and they both gave me contact for her immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
so Kamden has been a big help with me, and I appreciate him for that.
Now here's a question you may or may not know, and I don't even know this. And do you know the last time, other than maybe you said it in passing or something, that Bill Scott voiced Bullwinkle? Was it the Joe Piscopo album or the Hershey's Chocolate Kisses commercial? Because those both came out at the same time.
I believe it was the Hershey's Kisses commercial, because I've seen a lot of material on the internet saying it was Bill's last time doing Bullwinkle. Okay. And he could still do it. He could still do it at 65.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was impressed. I remember when that commercial came out, and the Piscopo album, which if you don't have that Joe Piscopo album, not the greatest album, but it's funny to hear.
I've never heard it.
Well, excuse me?
Neither have I.
Yeah. Oh,
I've never heard it before.
Search it out. He's a comedian. He used to be on Saturday Night Live. Everybody used to be on Saturday Night Live back in the early 80s. And he did a solo comedy album. I think it's just called Joe Piscopo. It might have a title, but he only did one comedy album. But it has June Foray and it has Bill Scott. And they're performing Rocky and Bullwinkle. And there's kind of a running gag. I won't spoil it so you can get a copy. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. And I'll say the basic premise is that Rocky and Bullwinkle have fallen on hard times, so they have to do announcements at bullfights in Mexico. So, and Bill Scott actually speaks fluent Spanish during the thing. It's really kind of funny. He's just rattling it off. And June Foray says a few phrases in Spanish, but you can tell she doesn't speak it fluently, so she's just kind of phonetically sounding it out. But Bill Scott, he's all, it's a very funny album. That part's funny. The album itself is kind of uneven, but seek it out for that. But that was done the last year of his life as well. I don't know how appropriate it is for the documentary, but just for your own entertainment value, it would be fun to dig out. So.
Amber, when did Bill do the thing with Weird Al, which he interviewed? Who was she interviewed, by the way?
I've spoken to Weird Al Yankovic. That's what he means.
When did that thing with Weird Al? When did he do that recording with Weird Al? Would that have been towards the end too?
Yeah, Al said it was a few months before he died, so I'm presuming it was probably.
Was that one of those 85? Was that one of those Al TV things or something like that he used to do on MTV, or what was it for?
Al was recording a cover of the George of the Jungle theme, and they called him Bill. They called him Bill to do his famous Tarzan yells for it, but the producers wanted to re-record it, but Al was like, "Oh, why can't we just use from the cartoon because they're smoother?" Well, Al only worked with Bill for an hour, but he said he was really kind and he was really cool to meet.
So did he re-record his yells, or did they just use stock sound?
Yeah, I think he did re-record his yells. I don't remember Al
I didn't know
telling
that.
me, but going by what happened, then Yeah.
That's cool.
Amber,
I had that
isn't
album
the,
too, but I just figured it was just
remember-
clipped from the opening. I didn't know. I learned something today. See, you can teach me stuff. Anyway,
Amber,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Did you tell me earlier that the Weird Al thing is in the reel that you're gonna show Mark right now, like on this podcast? Or am
Oh
I wrong?
yeah. I'll just get it up real quick.
No, I'm just asking.
I might as well show it now. Now that you've
Okay,
mentioned
yeah,
it.
go ahead.
It's really good, Mark.
All right, I'm looking.
Well, I've put a bunch of. I'll just quickly skip to the part where it is.
Okay.
No, well,
yeah.
why can't you show the whole reel?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, how long is it?
Hosted. It's about 7 minutes.
Oh,
But
that's fine. Yeah,
it says there's. I can't share it. It says the host disabled participant
Oh.
screen sharing.
Oh, jeez.
So you have to turn it on.
Okay.
You can try.
I'll edit it in later. No, anyway. I came across this as kind of an interesting thing, just because I'm going through my boxes. I'm talking to you. They have the official J Ward radio cassette tape catalog. So they used to sell old radio shows, and it has this little cartoon on the back about Little Orphan Annie. It's actually kind of cute. I don't know if Bill Scott drew some of these things, but he probably did. So. But anyway, that's just something else.
If you showed it me, I probably would recognize it.
One other thing that I have, which it's totally in a different box. There was a Rocky and Bullwinkle fanzine back in the early '80s called the Frostbite Falls Far Flung Flyer, and they did various interviews and things like that. So I don't know if you have, copies of that. But if you don't, I can get you copies of that material if there's anything about Bill in it. So
I'll find one. But sure, you send it to me. Go ahead.
okay.
Amber, wasn't that the? Yeah, we tried to reach out to whoever did that. We didn't get a response.
Oh, Charles Ulrich.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in years. I mean, it's like I used to talk to him all the time, but he's kind of like, for lack of a better term, falling off the face of the planet. So it's like, I'm sure he's still around, but he just, it's like it's long past or something like that. So
I just pulled out something. Is this the Fractured Fairy Tales publicity kit?
Mm-hmm.
Like for flickers, sorry.
Yeah, the only thing I have, and these are a little bit bent up on the side, I need to flatten them out. Everybody's watching Fractured Flickers bumper sticker, and the other one here
This is
is watch Fractured Flickers. I would never put these on my bumper.
I might. That's something I would probably do.
Well, I mean, I would never do it now because I'd never get them again. So it's like,
That's true. That's true.
But I used to buy all sorts of weird things at that shop. I mean, I'm looking at, it's like, wow, I haven't even looked at this stuff in years. And then the other thing, where I grew up is in Northern California, and they had a Bullwinkle's restaurant, and I tried to get as much stuff about that. And I think Bill Scott did do the voice for the animatronics. But ironically, Paul Frees didn't, even though he was one of the instigators of this. He was the one that actually tried to get this going, but he didn't lend his voice for it. But I kind of know why, because in later years, Paul Frees was kind of like, I'm not going to LA for anything. I'm not going to do this. And he was getting a little bit curmudgeon-y, so I get it. So,
Yeah, he was replaced with, I think it was Joe Alaskey.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
And just for everybody out there, these are what those characters look like on stage.
Yeah, made by AVG.
I shared this on the June 4th,
including the Total Television characters. But anyway.
But here's a drawing Bill Scott did.
Oh, that's cool. Can you hold it a little closer?
Yeah, sorry, I'm horrible with this camera.
That's okay. Oh, wow. Cool.
When her husband was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
When Hobart was in the hospital.
Is that just pencil or is it ink? I couldn't tell.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's see what other junk I have here. I'm like looking at things too. Yeah, they used to sell little random things like here, the Fractured Flickers Spicy Screen magazine, and it's just a little.
Or I'm sure this came from the store.
So anyway,
the Fractured Flickers, Flickers, fantastical calendar.
So it's funny how much weird stuff Jay Ward did at that time, and Bill Scott, yeah, was an instigator of a lot of that stuff. Is like trying to make Pennsylvania the 52nd state and everything like that. And then I have a cassette tape of all their music cues and stuff like that they used to sell back then. I need to get that transferred to digital too, actually. So anyway. And let me look if there's anything else, and then we'll kind of wrap things up here. I just had the requisite coloring books and all the other stuff. Geez, I forgot all this stuff. I'm gonna have to look through this book. This box here. Hold on here. Turning my back to the camera. This is really exciting for the audience here. Seeing me just turn around and everything like that. Oh, shoot, I can't find anything. Okay.
How much of this do you edit, Mark? This is gonna be.
Let's see. Actually, this one is. Yeah. This is one of the things I have too. Is the Dudley Do Right catalog that actually shows the Emporium back in its heyday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the fractured flickers, trading card stamps.
Wow, I don't even have that one, and like I said, I used to buy most anything.
It's JFK. There's Hitler. There's whatever this is.
Now, those are stickers or cards or both?
They call them trading cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see, here it is. It is Cliff Robertson, real name John F. Kennedy. Outstanding fiddleristic, bad back from paying mahjong, from playing touch mahjong. Favorite role that Barry Goldwater in the Saga of the Night, he was clobbered by a large Japanese woman in the aisle of the Arizona department store. Cutest perversion, volunteering at local Republican headquarters. Representation, Democratic National Committee.
Can you read the Hitler? Can you read the Hitler one? Yeah.
What?
I was saying, can you read the Hitler one?
Adolf G. Hitler. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Adolf G. Hitler, real name Adolf R. Hitler. Outstanding characteristic. Hasn't recently grown a mustache to stimulate career.
Mm-hmm.
Latest picture, none. He hasn't worked in 25 years.
Wow.
Cutest perversion. Enters delicatessens, orders hot cross niches, and giggles hysterically. Representation, California Unemployment Office, Hollywood office.
Wow. Well, let's see. Let's keep talking. Amber's stepped out a second, so when she comes back, we'll kind of.
Nah, I'm still here. Don't worry. I just turned off my camera.
Oh, okay. So we'll kind of wrap things up here. Is there anything else?
Hopefully this is not one of your most chaotic.
Oh no, there's been some chaotic ones, so it's like, but it's cool that you showed some of those things. You have things I don't have. Anyway, but I guess to wrap things up is I'll start with Kamden. Anything you're working on besides this, and how can we get a hold of you if people want to get a hold of you?
Well, anything I'm working on besides this. Well, I don't have a flustering thing that I'm working. Well, I'm not working on this like Amber is. I'm just helping her whenever she needs it. But,
I mean, if you're just going to school or whatever, that's fine.
I write for Jerry Beck.
Uh-huh.
I write for Jerry Beck. I'm one of the 40 different people who write on Mondays every month.
Okay, there's something. Yeah.
but I'm like right now I'm writing and some rare material of interviews with Abe Levito, and as far as I know, these are the only existing interviews with Levito, about which I'm trying to find copies of it. It's about the Off to See the Wizard special. The Off to See the Wizard special is pretty crappy, but it's worth it if you can get some Abe Levito talking. Apparently, he was with the There was some footage of him there was some interview he did with Bob Ross on the radio. Not Bob Jones, sorry, Bob Jones.
Oh, okay. Not the painter.
With like
anyway. And how can people get a hold of you if they have questions or they want to give you some information or anything like that?
Facebook or my blog.
Okay. And what's your blog?
Termite Terrace Headlines.
All right. And is that the name of your column for Jerry?
No, my name for column for Jerry is the Spies Report.
Oh, okay.
You needed something to come up quick.
Took a lot of effort for that. No, just kidding.
It was Jerry's suggestion. Just call it something like the Spies Report or something. I'm like, all right, Spies Report. Everyone else thinks it's the Spies Report, but so that's what it's going to be called.
All right, very good. All right, and then switching over to Amber. How can people get in contact with you if they have some information about Bill Scott, and then any projects you plan to work on after this project is completed?
Well, I have Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. My Twitter is the same as my Instagram, it's AmberLeahX, which is spelled AmberLeahHHX. And my YouTube channel is Amber the Fangirl. And I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of big projects on after this documentary. This may be my last for a while because this is so time consuming, but it's paid off though. I work on my own videos, I edit vlogs, I do much of my own stuff, and I'm the voice of a children's corner operated ride. I've been in magazines, I've been on BBC Radio London speaking about autism awareness, and it's been fun, and I'm hoping to just continue doing what I'm doing when I finish this project.
Very good. And so I hope to see and hear and view good projects from both of you in the future. And I want to thank you both for being my guest today on the Fun Ideas podcast. And
You're welcome.
We'll talk soon, and I'll definitely get you some more information for your documentary.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.